Say a massive thank you to the Arsenal fans for the support so far. It's been overwhelming really. Obviously there's been a lot going on, a lot of speculation for months. But obviously as a player you want to get things dealt with as quick as possible so you're settled, and today I've had my first day, so I'm feeling really at home.
Declan Rice is done. We are talking about another defensive midfielder, still very young, and that is none other than Romeo Lavia from Southampton. And he is one of the best defensive midfielders in his generation. The fact that Declan Rice is now out of the picture, the club Arsenal is looking at signing yet another wonderful talent, and that is none other than Romeo Lavia from the EFL Championship club Southampton. Hello everyone, and thank you for being part of the Arsenal chapter, and please subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you do not miss out on whatever we've got to bring to you, as long as it is sports and as long as it is Arsenal related, right about here at the Arsenal chapter with me, your very host, Abu Kals, as I'm definitely dedicated to bring to you the latest trade as it comes in. We're talking about a very wonderful football player, still very young, and that's none other than Romeo Lavia. Romeo Lavia is a very good football player, still young, as I told you, and he's been quite on the market. It's been a big market. There is quite a lot that has definitely been done. And when it comes to this transfer, of Romeo Lavia, a number of clubs are interested in signing him, but the main club that has been giving Arsenal a bit of headache is Liverpool. Liverpool is a club that is going into a bidding war with the club Arsenal. Anyway, before we talk more about Romeo Lavia, let's talk a little bit about the new signing, Declan Rice. And Declan Rice, you'll remember that Declan Rice is a very good defensive midfielder, one of the best in the Premier League, and he's proved this when he's played against clubs like Arsenal, Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea. Definitely has always been a very good football player, a very good defensive midfielder, and he's had his first interview and he has been unveiled, and right about now Arsenal is looking at yet another football player to sign. Arsenal is not sad, it's definitely looking for football players really to sign, and Declan Rice comes to the club and moves to the club Arsenal at a record fee of £105 million, breaking the record fee that was £72 million, and that was Nicolas Pepe in 2019. Years have passed ever since 2019. Definitely that there was no big money transfer like what has definitely happened. And right about now, I can confirm to you that ever since Arsenal began, this is the biggest transfer that has ever happened. I mean, it's a record transfer, and putting it right, it is £105 million, 100 fixed and £5 million for additional add-ons. It's quite a good job that Mikel Arteta and Edu Gaspar have done to make sure that they can bring the football player to the club Arsenal, as right about now as we speak he's already at Arsenal, and reports are saying that he's heading for training. Anyway, we'll be bringing to everything straight as it comes in, and as we already know, it's three players who have been considered as done deals. There is Kai Havertz, who comes to who moved to Arsenal from Chelsea at a record. It wasn't a record fee; it was £65 million, and then yet another one that moved to the club Arsenal was Urian Timber. It was £38 million. And he was from the Netherlands at Ajax Amsterdam. We remember that Urian Timber plays for Ajax Amsterdam, but also played for the Netherlands national team. And moving to the club Arsenal at £38 million, that was really quite great. And then Arsenal go into yet another transfer, third transfer of the season, and that is none other than Declan Rice, who's been done and dusted, plus he's been unveiled it's a deal that has been really delivered. That's what I can say, because there is nothing more that we can talk about Declan Rice in terms of transfers, because he's had his transfer, everything about him is really done. And it really shows you how serious Arsenal is when it comes to transfers this season. The last season, Arsenal was not, there was something a little bit lacking, but still, Arsenal had a good season. The fact that the other Arsenal ended up in the second position, that shows you the amount of dedication that was in, and also shows you that this season could definitely be much better than the last season. And when we say much better, the last season Arsenal was second, meaning if it has to improve, it just has to be in the first position. But with the football players like Declan Rice, Declan Rice, Urian Timber, and Kai Havertz being reinforcements in the club, really, Arsenal should be able to perform much better than it did last season. And looking at Arsenal looking at signing yet a new football player, and that's Romeo Lavia, that is valued at £50 million. Arsenal has spent quite a lot of money and is still looking at spending even much more money. Fair financial play. Arsenal is quite at good terms with FFP rules. Arsenal hasn't breached any rules just as yet. And right about now, Arsenal is in good shape of signing Romeo Lavia. But you will remember that Arsenal will not pay £50 million for Romeo Lavia. Arsenal is going to get into this transfer and try to negotiate the prices of the football player Romeo Lavia, who is quite a very good one, a very wonderful football player, still very young. He can sign a 6, 7, 8-year deal with the club Arsenal. And the fact that Southampton really have put him on market, they had nothing to do, because he's quite a big talent. And the fact that Southampton, he's actually heading, he was in the Premier League this season. In a reason as to why when I started this video, I said it's an EFL Championship football club. It's because it was relegated and it went to EFL Championship. Next season, there's no Premier League football for Southampton, but Romeo Lavia can have Premier League football if he makes a move to the club Arsenal. And not only can he have Premier League football, the Arsenal will definitely be having quite a big number of games to play, number of leagues, and Champions League could be a big option. And the fact that Arsenal is trying to solve the problem of depth, I think Romeo Lavia really comes in as a big transfer to solve a number of problems, because you really need that football player who, when he's on the bench, when he comes, he can make a big impact. And that's what Arsenal was really lacking. But things are going on quite well for the club Arsenal, as a number of football players have been linked to an exit of the club. But it will be remembered that still a number of football players are going to be coming to the club. It's 3 football players signed officially, and are still counting. A number of football players are going to be heading to the club Arsenal. It's going to be magic for the club Arsenal. It's going to be quite good news for the club Arsenal, as we already know that Arsenal is looking at signing more football players, and Romeo Lavia, who is a defensive midfielder, could definitely end up at the club Arsenal. However, it will be remembered still that Manchester City has something to do with Romeo Lavia. Romeo Lavia moved from Manchester City to Southampton, and Manchester City really knew how good a football player he was, and they anticipated that quite big clubs will be into him just after a short period of time. But as they anticipated, that's how it is. And Manchester City really came out and said, in the contract that Romeo Lavia signed, the contract that West Ham signed, not West Ham, Southampton signed. That contract really says on the transfer fee that is taken by West Ham. I don't know why I'm confusing West Ham for Southampton. It's because of Declan Rice, because I've talked a lot about Declan Rice, and now he's in my head. So the price that whatever price that Southampton sell Romeo Lavia for, it will be remembered that that amount of money, 20% of that amount of money will have to go to the club Manchester City, because when Manchester City was selling the player to Southampton, it was written in capital letters that was part of the deal, and that is what is definitely happening. Anyway, let's hope really all goes on quite well for the club Arsenal, and all will definitely be going on quite well, as Romeo Lavia could be heading to the club Arsenal, as Arsenal has had its three big signings, and that's Kai Havertz, and also Urian Timber, Kai Havertz from Chelsea, Urian Timber from Ajax Amsterdam, and also not forgetting Declan Rice, the English football player from West Ham. And the fact that all those football players are deals that are done, sealed, confirmed and delivered, Arsenal is looking at getting yet other football players. There is a rumor going on that Arsenal could get up to 6 football players this season. How credible is that? I feel like Arsenal could probably get maybe possibly 2 more. I'm not so sure, but I'm not sure about the two, about 2 more, but possibly. Fingers crossed. As you already know that a number of football players are leaving the club. Definitely reinforcement is something that the club Arsenal is looking at doing and is actually doing. And so what will Romeo Lavia really bring to the club? And looking at what Romeo Lavia will bring to the club really as a defensive midfielder, options for defensive midfielders really are needed, because when Mikel Arteta and the current sporting director, Mr. Edu Gaspar, sat down and looked for the problem that was available, that was at the club, that led Arsenal not to win the Premier League title. There was something in the defensive midfield, and Arsenal is trying to make sure it revamps the defensive midfield, gets young football players, gets the best football players, and really the stuff can really move on. It's going to be a brilliant season I can anticipate for the club Arsenal because of these signings. It will be remembered that still Arsenal has been linked to a number of football players, with Dusan Vlahovic also being linked to the club Arsenal and also linked to the club Chelsea. But Inter Milan Juventus, where he plays for, came out and said they have not had anything from Chelsea, and neither have they had anything from Arsenal, and that was Inter Milan. So if anything, if there is any developing story for Dusan Vlahovic to the club Arsenal, I'll bring it to you. But right about now, Juventus, I don't know whether I said Inter Milan again. Juventus have rubbished any rumors about Dusan Vlahovic. Anyway, Romeo Lavia being the center of focus today, and also Declan Rice, who's signed for the club Arsenal. Really, it's going to be a powerful Arsenal. It's going to be a very brilliant Arsenal. Declan Rice had a number of football clubs fighting for him, and one of the clubs were Chelsea, who wanted to give quite big money, but he was not interested, and they didn't go on quite far with the bids. And the other one was Manchester United, which wanted to give West Ham 2 football players for Declan Rice and also add a bit of money. And that's how big Declan Rice is. Manchester United wanted to make a swap deal, give Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire to West Ham, plus around £20 million, so that they can definitely land Declan Rice at Manchester United. But it didn't happen because they could, putting all the money together, they could not really get to what was available for Declan Rice, £120 million. 105 million pound really, and at that time West Ham were valuing him at 120 million pound. Then Manchester City comes and puts in a 90 million pound bid, and Arsenal says we're putting in 105 million pound. Come on, bring it on, let's go. Anyway, it's been good news, it's been great news as we are waiting for the Romeo Lavia transfer any upcomings about Romeo Lavia, I'll be the first person to bring to you the latest about Romeo Lavia and his move to the club Arsenal. If he makes the magic move to the club Arsenal, if anything comes, if he agrees personal terms, agrees the deal to the club Arsenal, I'll be the first person to bring to you the latest about Romeo Lavia. Please subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you do not miss out on whatever we've got to bring to you. I've got to bring to as long as this post and as long as it is Arsenal related right about here at the Arsenal chapter with me, your very host, Abu Carls. Thank you and goodbye for now.